as I learn to really love who I am and see the best of myself, I wanted to be able to do the same for other teens. I wanted to be able to help them now to see their own worth, to really learn to believe in themselves so that they have the confidence to do the things they truly want to do versus make some of those mistakes that I did.
Exactly. And I remember when we talked last time, your story is so redemptive. I mean, it's like there are things that most people would say, oh, wow, that was tough. But in the middle of all of that, like I call it, you found grace, or grace appeared. And you had these moments of redemption where something that was lost was found. Something that was difficult became a way out. Mm-hmm. And how beautiful now your story or your work now shows a lot of that same heart that you have.
I'm very blessed to be doing what I'm doing right now. It's a lot of fun.
It is. So now when we come back, I want to actually get into your book here, Jacqui, 5 simple questions to reclaim your happiness. And I was paging through it before the show. And I know it's a very quick read and a very simple book. And I can't wait to get into the first step, which is, we'll tell you when we come back.
I love it.
We'll be right back. So we're back with Ms. Letran talking about the 5 simple questions or 5 simple steps that you, your youth, your teen, your child can take to reclaim their happiness. And especially as we face, Jacqui, especially as I was mentioning during the holidays, a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, and you work with teens. You have a whole academy that is devoted to helping teens to have more confidence.
Right.
And as a parent of 3 teenagers, I know the value of helping these teens that many of them may not have that at home, or maybe they need a little bit more help. So let's get right into it. So you have 5 simple questions to reclaim your happiness. So what is the first question? Mm-hmm. And most of all, what is the answer to that first question?
Well, the answer is definitely up to you. But before I go into that first question, I want to mention 2 things. First of all, the questions are going to be incredibly simple, as the title says. We as human, we overcomplicate things way too much. And it's going back to the basic, going back to the simple steps are the easiest way to get yourself out of stuck situations.
Right.
Second, these same questions you can use whether you're a teenager or an adult, whether your disagreement is with, a loved one, a classmate, a teacher, a boss, or even with yourself, because I'm sure you've had moments where you kind of piss off at yourself, right?
Yeah.
And you can choose to hang on to that, or you can also choose to reclaim your happiness using these 5 questions.
Gotcha.
So the first question is, what am I feeling? Now that seems incredibly simple, isn't it? What am I feeling? But a lot of us, we don't know what we feel.
Right.
We never take the time to kind of stop and look inward and say, what really am I feeling? So I think in the dictionary, there's several hundreds words for different feelings.
Okay.
But we as human, we usually go to our 4, 6, 7 favorite emotions.
Really? What are those? Or which ones can you tell us about?
Anger.
Okay.
Is anger, anxious, stressed, depressed, sad. Those are the common ones that people use all the time.
Yeah, I hear them all the time.
Right? So let's use angry.
Okay.
So if you think you're an angry person and when things don't go your way, you get angry. And every time something don't go your way, you're angry and angry and angry and angry. Doesn't that just become bigger and bigger and bigger, right? But if you pause and you really ask yourself, what am I feeling? You might discover that one time you thought you were angry, you're disappointed. Another time you might be hurt. Another time you might be sad. There's different emotions, but you react with anger. And when that happens, that emotion becomes really, really big. A really good example is this. Imagine it's moving day, and you put everything you own in one box.
I hate moving.
Same here.
Great example.
But imagine putting everything in your bedroom in one box. Your mattress, your clothing, your electronics, your books, everything in one box. Can you move that box easily?
Not a
so
chance.
Much.
Not alone.
No, not right.
Not a chance.
And if you want to look for your red sweater in that big box, can you find it easily?
Right.
Not so much,
way.
Right? But if moving day and you have everything packed up in little boxes and you label these little boxes, now you want your red sweater, you can go to the sweater box and look for that sweater so easily, couldn't you? Emotions are the same way. If we called our emotion by one name over and over and over, we make it huge and heavy and burdensome. where it feels like you don't have control. You can't move it. You can't do anything about it. But if you break it down to the individual emotion in that moment, it's so much easier to let go.
That is beautiful. Yeah,
Simple.
because it does stack if you think of everything as anger inducing.
Right. Or
Instead,
anxious. Like we talk
or
about
anxiety.
anxiety.
Yeah.
It's, I'm just anxious. I'm so stressed out. I'm so stressed out. But maybe one time you really aren't stressed out. You're irritated, right? Or you're disappointed. But
Yeah.
you're calling it stress because that's your go-to. But when you break it back down to what it is you really are feeling, then you can move along the next few questions and get to happiness a lot quicker.
Have you found things like emotions chart to be helpful to?
How do you mean?
For example, like we have a room called the Peace Center, and we have this. I saw this online, an emotions chart, all color coded. So it has all those 50 plus that you mentioned emotions, and then when our kids were younger, they would go in there to read or to calm down, and they would be able to see by color
Yes.
their emotion and
Yes.
express it later.
Yes, I think it's a beautiful way to understand emotion because there's different levels, right?
Yeah.
And even if you take angry, there on a scale, there is just so much of a variety, but we don't think of it that way. We think of anger, big, bad. I can't do anything about it.
Yeah. Well, let's get into the second one. I love that one, by the way. What a great way to start. So, what is the second question that people can ask to reclaim their happiness?
So the second question is also the most in-depth of the 5 questions. The second question is, why do I feel this way? So now you know what you're feeling. You have to get into why you are feeling that way. And I'm going to challenge you right now for fun.
Do it. Let's do it. I'm ready. I'm all about challenges and bad jokes, as you'll soon find out.
But no bunny jokes.
Okay, no bunny jokes. You have to see episode 53 for the bunny joke analogy.
So going back to why do I feel this way? There's only 3 reasons for upset emotions.
Okay.
I'll go through the 3, and my challenge for you is to find a 4th.
A 4th.
Okay.
Okay.
So the first one is unmet expectation.
Unmet expectations.
Second one is miscommunication.
Okay.
And the third one is thwarted intention, something that stopped you from doing something you want to do.
Thwarted intentions. And these are emotions for what now?
Whatever emotion you have.
For anything.
For upset emotions.
Yeah, I guess the one that I always express or manifest is unmet expectations. Yeah,
Right.
so most of them would probably go into that big sweater box. It seems like that box has a ton of sweaters in it for all shapes and sizes.
Well, that could be a big box, or it could be many little boxes too, couldn't it? Right?
Okay.
So yeah, everything come back down to one of those 3 things. When I first learned about it, I'm like, it can't be that simple. There have to be more, and I racked my brain, and I could not come up with a 4th. So the first one is unmet expectation. Well, I'm going to take one step back. When you ask yourself, what am I feeling? And you go through those 3 things and identify why you're upset, it's easier then to find a solution. So if you find that you have unmet expectations, then you can ask yourself, well, what were my expectations? Is it realistic for the situation? Some of our expectation, not so realistic, right?
Exactly, yeah.
What are the expectations?
That's so important. I'm sorry, I just was thinking how important it is to know that's just not realistic. Meaning, I'm expecting my child to be this, I don't know, this doctor, and she's like 8. Or I'm
Right.
expecting my mom to buy me a brand new Xbox, and she is a housekeeper. I mean, but
Right.
sometimes we have these expectations that we can't.
And we do,
meet.
and sometimes we don't recognize that we have these expectations.
Yeah.
It's slowing down and checking inward. And I think on one of your blogs you mentioned self-awareness.
Yeah. Oh.
And this is what it is. It's really about asking yourself.
Yeah, it gives me chills when I think of self-awareness, how valuable it is and how tough it is.
Incredible, valuable, right? And these questions, that's what it helps you to do, is to pause and become more self-aware so you can take control of the situation.
Yeah.
So going back to unmet expectation, is it realistic? And then what are the expectation of the other person? You're upset with somebody, they have their expectations too, and you have your expectations. Who's right? You both are right. So you can either be angry about it or upset about it, or you can figure out how to connect and have a, your way, my way, our way kind of situation. So both parties feels good. And then if it's miscommunication, then figure out, okay, how can I communicate this in a way the other person can understand? A lot of the time, we miscommunicate because we expect the other person to just know us, right?
Yeah.
Or I've told you that 10 times before. You should know it by now. No, every single situation is another opportunity for clear, concise communication.
And especially if you're a younger person, a teen, a child, that maybe we were talking about social media earlier, that their communication method is not even in person. Imagine the delay that happens through Snapchat versus a phone call.
And the misinterpretation, because the words we use is like 7% of communication.
Like, what's an emoji? Like, meaning, is this emoji like you're mad at me or you love me? Like, what is this little thing with the tear down? I mean, what does that mean, really?
I know.
And yet that's how we communicate, through emojis.
I do see that. I'm like, I still don't get it.
Why didn't you text me like 3 seconds after I texted you? I was driving. Oh, I thought you like left me for someone else.
And that's expectation. You had an expectation of being texted back within 3 seconds, but they had something else going on, right?
So now we've been talking about the 5 simple questions to reclaim your happiness. Everybody wants to be happy, but there are these obstacles that seem to get in the way. We were talking about expectations. We were talking about just simply just asking yourself, what am I feeling? And kind of being self-aware. So tell us now, what is the 3rd simple question that can help people reclaim their happiness?
Okay, so I'm blanking out, so I have to go backwards.
No problem.
Question 1 is, what am I feeling? Question 2 is, why do I feel this way? Question 3 is this emotion useful for anything?
Yeah.
When you think about it, most negative emotions is pointless, right?
Negative emotions are pointless, right?
Most, not all.
I got you.
For example, if I'm walking down, a dark alley and I'm feeling really, really scared, that emotion might protect and save me. It would make me more aware of my surroundings. I might make actions. I might run. I might do something. So sometimes negative emotions are very helpful.
Got you.
But most of the time, it is not. It is our prison cell. So for example, you and I are friends and you did something and I'm just pissed off at you, right?
Yeah.
And we had planned of, I'm going to go to your party. And I've been so excited about this party because, you throw the best parties and there are people there I want to talk to and have fun with. But now I'm pissed off at you. And I'm going to show you I'm pissed off at you. I'm not going to go to your party. Well, guess what happens? Day of the party, I'm in my room and I'm stewing. And I'm miserable because I'm not at your party. I don't get to interact with the people that I get to interact with. And I'm focusing all of my energy and attention on being angry.
Yeah.
You, on the other hand, you're having a great time. You're at your party and you're living it up and you're talking to the people I want to talk to. So is that emotion really helpful to me for any reason? No.
Yeah, no.
And most of the time, if you are honest to yourself, the answer is no. Occasionally it's a yes, but most of the time it is a no.
Wow, that is powerful, Jacqui. I mean, I talk a lot about being emotionally constipated.
That's exactly what it is.
How I notice, not only in my own life, but in conflict, how it's like this bubbling up of constipation. It's kind of like a really bad analogy, but you feel like you're gonna just burst with anger or with stress or with
fear or anything else.
Withdrawing. I see that a lot sometimes here at the house with some of our teens. They run to their room and we're trying to say, let's talk this out. Well, but if I'm kind of giving them an aura or a feeling of I'm gonna pounce on you or fix you or say that you did something wrong, then of course she's gonna want to withdraw. So it goes both ways.
Oh yeah, you have to have that openness, right? If you don't have that openness and that acceptance, I would run too.
You would run too, exactly.
I would run, but I would do something else to be happy and not stew in my emotion.
Yeah. So the 3rd one was, is this emotion useful for any reason? So what is the 4th one? I love the 4th one because I think it's just real. What's the 4th one?
The 4th question is, how can I see this differently? Oftentimes when we have a negative emotion, especially a very strong one, we're so myopic. All we can see is our way and we cannot see anything else. So pausing and just asking, how can I see this differently? And being empathetic, really putting yourself in the other person's shoe. What are their backgrounds? What are their belief system? What's happening to them that day that might cause them to react the way that they react? That texting back was perfect, right?
Which one?
The texting back.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
It's like, he must be mad at me.
Right.
I text that thing I knew I shouldn't have, and now he's pissed and he's not texting me back.
And he's going to leave me now for another girl.
Right.
Yeah, right.
But when I ask myself, how can I see this differently? I might say, oh, okay, so he might be driving. And it's good that he's focusing on the driving and not the texting. Or it could be, you know what I said was just really important to him, and he's just pausing for a moment to think this through. Or a number of other things. He arrived at his destination. There are people that he have to greet, and in that moment he can't respond. But there are so many different reasons for that, instead of that one reason that I'm focusing on. So being empathetic, being willing to really use your imagination and even be goofy about it. Because if you're having a negative emotion and you feel bad and you use your imagination and you get really goofy and you can make yourself laugh, seriously, are you still going to be in a bad mood?
Not usually.
You can let it go a lot easier. And then you can laugh at yourself for even thinking that first thought in the first place.
That is powerful, because I was listening to a podcast by a friend I follow, and he was talking to a guest of his, talking about the pace of communication. I think the guest was a doctor of speech, something along those lines. And he was mentioning how in a conversation, like even this one between you and me, we're looking at each other. I can see when you're nodding, when you're thinking.
Right.
If you pause while I'm talking, I'm not thinking, oh, she left. I'm just thinking, well, she's just waiting.
Right.
She's processing. But through texting or Snapchat, or especially those two, which are instant, or WhatsApp or whatever it is, there isn't any nuance. The nuance is completely gone.
Right.
And yet teens, and maybe even us as adults,
we're guilty.
We're so guilty of relying on that type of communication.
Yes. And like I said a moment ago, is when, the words we use is about 7% of the communication. It's the body language. It's the inflection of our voice. It's the intonation. It's all of that. So right in front of each other, we can see the smile. Right? I'm saying something, I can see you're smiling, so I know, okay, we're good.
Right.
Versus I say something on text and I don't have a clue how you're responding.
Right.
Because the word, I'm okay, is pretty neutral, but depending on how you say it, it can mean something completely different. But when you read it, it's very neutral, and you can place your own interpretation on that. And oftentimes we're wrong.
Last night, I was mentioning to you that we went to see The Martian, my wife and I. And if you've seen the movie, for you guys, viewers and listeners, there is this one scene when they tell him that basically they can't save him. Like, it'll take like 5 years to save him. He's in Mars, stranded. And so then he texts back, quote unquote, "Are you kidding me?" And so back on Earth, there are all these scientists, NASA scientists, are trying to discern if he said it, "Are you kidding me?" Or "Are you kidding me?" Like, they couldn't really know if he was happy or if he was mad. And it goes to that point of interpreting words is only 70%, or interpreting communication is only 7%.
Using words, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the rest of it that's important.
Well, that was the 4th step. So when we come back, we're going to hit the 5th simple question, which I know someone who really likes it is my guess, which is really awesome. And guess what it is? The best is for last, is what they say. So what is the 5th and final question to reclaim your happiness?
This, of course, is my absolute favorite question, and it is, would I rather be right or happy? It is very, very simple, but you can choose to be right and, hang on to your negative emotions, or you can choose to be happy.
Tell me about this one. I'm really intrigued by this one.
Sure.
Yeah.
So give me an example. Like, can we go back to me being angry at you?
Absolutely. Let's do that. Yeah. Okay. That happens a lot, apparently. No. We haven't talked about this yet. Jacqui, we need to talk afterwards.
No, it's just an easy example, right? So actually, I'm going to put it in a different context. Okay. You're my dad now.
Okay.
Hello, Dad.
I can do that. I love girls. I have daughter girls.
And let's say you were really strict, and I came home late, and now I'm grounded, and I'm pissed off at you, right? So I can choose to hang on to my anger and think about all the things that, you've done wrong, all the times you were mean to me or, scolded me or anything like that. And if I did that, if I stayed in my room and did that, chances are I'm going to go downhill, right? I'm going to be, throwing this pity party for myself. I'm going to feel really upset. I'm going to feel like, the world's out against me, and it becomes this huge nightmare. Or I can choose to be happy. And by being happy doesn't mean, well, Dad is right, I'm just going to follow him and just do everything he says from this moment on. It's more about, you know what? I choose to be happy in this moment. And in this moment, I'm not going to think about that thing that's negative. I'm going to do something else that will bring me some peace, some joy. I might even go up to you, Dad, and sit next to you and watch TV. That doesn't mean that situation is over with or I'm going to ignore. But in that moment, if we fight, chances are we're going to go nowhere.
Right.
Because when you're angry and I'm angry and we're fighting or having a heated discussion, neither one of us are listening to the other person. We are fighting for position.
Wow.
We both want to be right, and we're going to say and do whatever we can to prove that we're right. And we're not going to hear the other person, right?
Yeah, right.
So if I choose to be happy, I can go and sit next to you and watch a show. Or I can do that thing on my own and just not think about the negative emotion until I feel calmer, until that negative feeling has gone. And then I can talk to you. Hey, Dad, that thing that we got into a fight about? Can I explain to you what was going on? And then, maybe then you're more willing to hear what I have to say. And I'm more willing to hear what you have to say. And maybe we can come up with a conclusion or, a new ground rule or something that both parties will be happy with. Does that make sense?
Oh, amazing. Yes. Do you find, Jacqui, that those skills come with age, with experience? How do people develop these skills, especially if you're a teen, you're 8, you're 10, you're 15? Is it developmental? How do they come?
I don't know if, for some people, I'm sure it comes pretty naturally with just the getting older and experience. But all of these questions are so simple that anybody can choose to learn it.
Gotcha.
And all you have to do is, going back to what we talked about earlier, is self-awareness, is willingness to just pause and look inward for a moment and say, okay, I'm feeling this way. I can either be a victim of my feelings or I can be in control of my feeling.
Yeah.
And if you decide you want to be in control of your feelings, there are definitely things you can do. And these are just 5 simple questions. There are many, many other tools. And I'm sure you've talked about, tools on your podcast.
Sure.
And I teach a bunch more. But these ones are so simple that we can really get to understand ourselves. Because I think that's where it stems from, is really understanding ourselves.
When it comes to self-awareness, which I think we're totally connecting on this, I've discovered that I'm a value-driven person. And so when I notice someone who also is value-driven, I know that I'm in a no-win situation, because any argument is about values. I mean, think about people talking about religion or politics.
Right.
You're never going to convince anyone differently, because it's two people talking about their values or their deep-held beliefs. And so whenever I find myself in a place where I'm debating values, I think, okay, wait, I have to approach this person differently through knowledge, through story, through empathy, meaning putting myself, as you said, in their shoes, versus my value system is better than yours.
Right.
Because you're never going to win.
Right. And that goes, and you actually lose when that happens, right?
Yeah.
When you push your value into somebody else, and in that moment they might go, fine, you win. But now they're angry at you.
Yeah.
And you left not feeling so great either. You didn't really win.
Yeah.
But when you can have a communication and it's more of learning about the other person, is using your curiosity and learning about the other person, keeping it open-minded and being very accepting. Because your value is definitely 100% correct for you.
Absolutely.
And if I have opposing values, 100% correct for me.
Yeah.
And neither one of us can say you're wrong, I'm right, or whatever. We are both right in our own value.
Well, it becomes this binary code, meaning left or right, right or wrong. So the minute that we set our values against somebody else, you can only be with me or against me.
Yes.
And that's where violence comes on, or you see some debates on CNN and you think, why are these men arguing or yelling at each other? It's because they're fighting over values.
Exactly.
And the minute that you draw that line in the sand, like I said, you can only be for or against me. There is no dialogue. There is no curiosity.
Exactly. So keeping that communication open and just seeing what you can learn And just know that it's okay to be different.
And you can still have your own value system. It doesn't mean that being curious means that you're giving in. It actually means that you might win at some point that person over to your side if you actually have dialogue.
Or you might accept, we are just different and we both are winning because we are
both are
still
winning.
going to work together in a very peaceful, happy manner, accepting that there are differences, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, there's something like, totally against your core value or one of the sin or something, right? That's a different conversation.
Right, yeah. Well, these questions, Jacqui, have been so amazing. I mean, I know we're only scratching the surface. And now tell us a little bit, after the break, I wanted to ask you, in your actual program, when you meet with students, when you meet with youth and teens, what are their responses to these questions? What have you seen? What have you learned from them? So when we come back, let's talk more about actual case studies, maybe one person, okay?
Okay.
So we're here with Jacqui Letran talking about the 5 simple questions to reclaim your happiness here on Gosa TV. We'll be right back. So we're back with Ms. Jacqui Letran talking about the 5 simple questions to reclaim your happiness. And Jacqui, all these 5 questions have been powerful. And as you said at the beginning of the show, they apply to youth as well as adults. They're things that people can use at work, with their loved ones, even when it comes to faith or politics. Yes. And I feel like these are very powerful. And as I said, we're just scratching the surface. So before the break, I had mentioned I wanted to ask you about an actual case study, like someone that you've actually seen wrestle with these questions and maybe have a win. Can you tell us about a person or a story that you can remember?
Well, no. How do you like that for honesty?
That is good. Honesty is good.
I can tell you like the general thing.
Tell us.
In the book, I took through an actual case study.
Okay.
But I would say that when people first hear these questions, the initial thing is, that can't work.
Really?
It is just too simple.
Resisting
Immediately.
Why do you feel that is?
Because we are so taught to think of emotion as this big mystical thing that we have no control of, right? How many times have you said, I don't know why I feel that way?
Yeah.
I can't control
Often.
how I feel.
Right.
I just feel this way and I don't get it. I can't just change it.
Gotcha.
So we program our mind to really believe that feelings and emotions are things that we are powerless against.
Very true. Very good.
And then here I am like, well, these 5 questions is going to help you regain your power. And they're like, it can't be that simple. And yes, it can be that simple.
Gotcha.
So when they first hear, there's a lot of resistance. The first one is pretty easy. People are like, oh, I get that. What am I feeling? They get that. Why am I feeling that way? They kind of get, but initially a lot of it is blaming. I feel this way because you made me feel this way, right? Because my mom did that thing.
Right.
Because somebody else did something.
Yeah.
And then when I talk to them about ownership, because when it is somebody else doing something to you, you are still powerless. You cannot change the other person.
Yeah.
But then when I ask them to really just pause and think back, okay, how did you play a part in it? Because when you identify something you did or didn't do, then you can correct that thing so easily. When it's about you can take charge. When it's about the other person, you're stuck.
That is powerful to have, self-analysis.
Yes.
It's almost like we see emotions as a one-way street. Like, here's what I'm feeling, and I'm going to blame you.
Exactly.
You are causing this emotion.
Exactly.
It's not a two-way conversation. It's all a one-way street.
Right. Because, when you look at any situation, both parties play a role in that upset feeling. Right?
Wow.
But when you, again, look back into yourself, have that self-awareness and know, okay, these are the things I did that I could do better. These are the things I did I really didn't like. Then you can change those things. And these are the things I did that I really, really like. And I'm going to definitely continue.
Yeah.
So really about understanding yourself deeper. The question that I get the most resistant of course, is my favorite one, the 5th one. Would I rather be right or happy? A lot of my teens, the first thing they would say is, well, if I'm right, then I'm happy. Which makes sense when you look at it on the surface.
Right.
Because we all want to be right. I mean, come on, face it. We want to be right.
Yeah.
But at what expense? Losing a friendship? Losing respect? Losing job? Losing trust? It's when you step back and really recognize win-win are the true happiness and not win-lose. Then you can definitely do something about it.
That's powerful, Jacqui. I am completely challenged by your thoughts. And I love this book. And I really think that every one of my viewers, each one of you, need to go and pick this up on Amazon. Is this where they can get it,
Yes,
Jacqui?
on Amazon.
Amazon.com, and also at your website. Just type in Jacqui Letran or the title of the book, 5 Simple Questions, and make sure you pick this up, especially as we head into the holidays. What a great thing. You know, I can just see this tool being like a classroom text in all high schools and middle schools because
Middle
it's so
school,
powerful.
even elementary, because
Yeah.
they're so simple. Like a lot of what the tools I use, I really wish were taught in second grade, maybe even first grade. They're so simple that when you master them,
Beautiful.
your life become easy.
Yeah. So speaking of mastering things, we here on the Trick Podcast of Joy do something ridiculous.
And he's making me do it.
Making you do it, which is called the Goso Joke of the Day. And so literally, Miss Jacqui, I'm going to have you tell corny jokes. But this time you picked them, so you can't blame me for the jokes. And the laugh track is ready.
I still can blame you because you're making me do this, and I'm choosing to be happy and play along.
Periscope, do not listen to her, okay?
Okay. No. These are good. These are good.
Okay, do
the
it.
first question is:
What are these about, first of all?
These are bird jokes.
Bird jokes.
Because bird jokes are my favorite.
I don't like birds. I did like Big Bird when he was around, or she, or whatever that was.
I think they're cute, but
What was Big Bird? Anyway.
Big Bird is happy. A very bright yellow, happy Big Bird.
Ahead of its time.
Yes. All right. Are you ready for your first question?
Do it.
Okay. First question is: what is the difference between a fly and a bird? This is so bad. I'm sorry, viewers.
See, that's why I gave these to you, so I could feel like an idiot.
Oh, wait till you hear the answer.
I have no idea.
What is the difference between a fly and a bird? A bird can fly, but a fly can't bird.
What does that even mean?
I have no idea.
How does a fly bird?
But that's what it can't do.
Maybe these jokes were written in German and translated. That's why we don't understand them.
It must be because this doesn't make any sense. Let me look for the next one.
Okay. Hope for the best here.
Okay. What happened when the owl lost his voice? What happened when the owl lost his voice?
It used its eyes. You know, owls have big eyes. I don't know.
I'm sure it did, but the correct answer is he didn't give a hoot.
That one I like, okay? High five for that one. I'm going to use that one on Sunday. It didn't give a hoot.
I can see you now on Sunday using that.
See, I mean, is that like just funny or what?
The first one was so bad. The first one was awful.
Okay, one more. It's all I can handle here.
Yes. What kind of doctor does a duck visit?
A quack doctor.
Ooh, that would be so good, but no.
No, come
But
on.
that's perfect.
I know.
It's a doctor. I like quack doctor better.
I know. It's sort of more like our style. You know, we're quacky here.
Yes.
Jacqui,
a
those
doctor.
were all terrible, I must say.
I know. I apologize again.
Well, everyone, we have come, thankfully, to the end of this segment, but this really has been an awesome episode. Thank you again, Miss Jacqui, for being with us.
Thank you for having me. That was really, really fun.
Don't forget, everybody, to go online to teenconfidenceacademy.com and check out Jacqui's virtual program that's coming up in just a few weeks. Are there any details, Jacqui, that you want to tell us about for that program?
Sure, definitely. It is going to be a 6-week program. It's a virtual program, so it will be via Skype or phone. And all of the sessions are recorded, so you can listen to it at your convenience. What else? Oh, because this is the first time I'm doing it online,
Okay.
I'm throwing in a super bonus that I don't offer to my in-person class.
Okay.
And it is 4 30-minute one-on-one sessions with me. So, you know, they can really get deep into the content and anything personal they might want to talk about and resolve.
Beautiful. And how do people register? How do they sign up?
The easiest way is to go onto my website and look under program, and you'll see the flyer there. Or another way to look on it is through Eventbrite.
Okay.
I made a tiny URL to make it easy. So if you type in tinyurl.com/innersuperpowers, you'll find that page easily.
Now this is the new sensation. sensation all across the nation. Man like Looney Tunes.
Yeah, man. Welcome to the feature remix. Thomas, the Latin boy, Lanside. Farro.
En la disco baila sola, si tú la vieras, es pura calentura, con movimiento que impresiona.